Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a full face of makeup, but it's really going to be with minimal product applied. So I've got 5 different things that I want to focus on, 5 new things, and that's really it. A couple of them are very multitasking, so that's part of what allows this to work out. But I just thought it would be fun to sort of put the focus on a few of these items, show you what kind of look they create, and provide some little reviews in the process. So a couple of the things that you may be interested in are this Makeup by Mario. He's got sort of a concealer and powder compact here. And then I did pick up the new Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a palette. This is the Stoned Rose. So it's going to be this grouping of shades for today. So I've already got my skin prepped with some moisturizer, eye cream, and sunscreen. And then we're going to go on with some foundation. And this is something I actually got, was it in like some kind of perk with a recent Sephora order? It's the Airbrush Flawless Foundation from Charlotte Tilbury. So it's a small size, but I was able to get this for free, and it's in the shade 6 Warm, and I thought, you know, let's play around with this a little bit more. I've used it once. I thought it kind of had a weighty look on the skin by day's end. Today I'd like to apply it with a sponge and see if I can get any better results. So even though it's a mini, I do like that it has a pump here. I'm going to pump out a pump and just a little bit more since the first pump was pretty tiny, and just dab this around on the skin. I'd love to know your take on this if you've tried it. It's not a brand new thing. You know, it's new to me, but I'm sure many of you have given it a go already. And then I'm going to use my beauty blender, which has been dampened, to get this all blended in. And the coverage is really quite good with this one. Like I said, the first time I used it, I worked it in with a brush, and I guess I just didn't feel like it was quite worked in enough, if you know what I mean. So that's why we're going with the Beauty Blender today. And this shade, there probably wasn't like a full shade range to pick from when I went through and got this one. So this is a little bit warm for my skin tone. That's okay. Skin looks pretty darn matte, I would say. I feel like the sponge helped this foundation's application quite a bit. It's looking more natural on the skin. It's really reminding me so much of classic Double Wear at this point, actually, just with the coverage level, because I'm still seeing some things through it. You know, it's not completely covering everything, but at the same time, my skin tone seems super evened out. It's like a strong medium coverage on the verge of full. I think it seemed like fuller coverage when I just used a brush to blend it in, but like I said, I also experienced a little heavier look at that time. So we're gonna go with this. I think this looks pretty good. We're also gonna take a sip from the old pumpkin mug. I can't get over how cute that is. That's an Aldi product, my friends. We're gonna move on to the Mario palette. This is Mario Dedivanovic. He is the makeup artist who gained a ton of fame by being Kim Kardashian's makeup artist. And if you've followed anything he does, you know, he is super knowledgeable. He's really done some incredible work, and now here he is with his own line at Sephora, and it's called By Mario. And this is the Master Eye Prep and Set, and I have it in the shade Light. So what you're getting in here are 2 different creamy concealers and also a powder. And one of the concealers is really well suited for concealing, you know, and this one seems like more of a brightener to me. The texture of these is really like quite solid. It's not a very goopy cream that you're sticking your finger into here. Not goopy like an old school Benefit erase paste would be. And really a little less goop to it compared to a Bobbi Brown creamy concealer. This kind of reminds me of the type of thing I feel like I've experienced from Bobbi Brown, where you've got the concealer and you've also got a little setting powder in there too. What I'm doing, I'm still working with that deeper of the 2 shades, which it's really a good shade for my skin. And I'm just going around those areas that I want to conceal. Love a good magnetic closure on that too. I did get an eye palette from Mario's line, but I haven't had a chance to play with it whatsoever, so I want to be a little more well-versed with that before doing a whole video on it. But I'm bouncing some of this in with the Beauty Blender. I kind of like that it's not too goopy. Like, I think it's actually a really good texture, because it maintains its coverage really well. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's got a little bit of thickness without being a really dry thickness. It's not difficult to blend in at all. If I were in a real hurry, I would probably just dab on both of those shades kind of interchangeably, like get both of these colors on the skin and then blend them all out together. But I just wanted you to see what the one shade does first, and then we can go over here to the brighter shade. And I'm going to do a little bit of that kind of right in this zone right here. That area where we really like some brightness and lift. And I'll even do a bit of it out here too. I also like a little brightness kind of right in between the eyebrows, and let's give a little to the chin as well. And then just to demonstrate with a brush for this whole step, it isn't so stiff that you would have to use a beauty blender to get it worked in. You know, you can use a brush, you could use your fingers, you could use a sponge, whatever just feels right and comfortable to you. Not that I'm asking for my fullest level of melasma back on my skin, but I would kind of like to see, or maybe hear from some of you if you've got full-on melasma right now, like how well do you feel this covers actual like major darkness and discoloration? I feel like I've got kind of a moderate level of discoloration in terms of my under eye darkness and the little bit of melasma that I have out there. And I feel like this handles it actually really well. I love the look. Like I said, you get your fingers in this product and it doesn't feel overly creamy, but yet it doesn't look dry on the skin. It blends in easily and it maintains its coverage. So I think it's really like the texture you need it to be in order to cover effectively on the skin. So there we go. We've got the concealer part on. Now we're going to use the powder. How would I explain the powder? It's not one of those just like white translucent powders. It is kind of just a light or fair skin tone shade. I've got a little on that finger. You can see that some will transfer off there. It's not like a powder foundation where you stick your finger in it and you're just getting tons of product off, but you're definitely getting plenty to mattify and to help just smooth out any tacky texture, although as I said, this concealer is not super tacky. But this does kind of smooth it out. I like that when you put your brush in, you really don't pick up so much, and therefore the skin never looks really overloaded by powdery product. And the tone is really perfect because you can see I put this on. I don't look like darker or more shadowed or shady, so shady, for putting this on like over the concealer. I feel like the whole thing just looks even and light and bright, and I'm a fan of this. This has been really good so far. Next up, we're going to move to this Instant Look in a palette. Like I said, I really wanted to try the latest version of it, and it's called Stoned Rose. So what you have here are 3 eyeshadows across the top, and they do label them with Eye Brighten, Eye Shimmer, and Eye Smoke. So your smoke shade is kind of like a matte mauve. The middle one is a very soft, I would call that like a golden copper, and then a champagne right here. You've got your bronze and highlight, which usually in these palettes, they're very reminiscent of the Film Star Bronze and Glow. And then there's 2 different cheek colors here. One says Cheek Swish and one says Cheek Pop. Now I was about to say that the bronzer and highlight seem very similar year to year, but if you compare this to last year's palette, let me show you. This is last year's right up here. This is the one called Gorgeous Glowing Beauty. I feel like, at least in person, this shade seems actually a hint deeper than the one that's in this year's. The thing that I didn't love about last year's palette was that this Cheek Swish shade, it just didn't seem to do much of anything. I wanted a richer blush color in that section because we already had a glowy highlight. So it was overall, I think, a good palette, but we're gonna sort of be comparing that to this year's. This one, I've used it a couple times already. It gives a softer eye look, but yeah, I'm using it today for the purpose of really putting the focus on it again and seeing what I think. I also have a couple of other versions of these palettes that she's put out. I remember the first one that she ever did, and it was very soft, like light shades. And I love the degree of multitasking in one place. I think that's really nice. But you come away kind of wondering, is it worth it? Like, did it give me enough of a real look to feel like this is a very special product? So let's work with this one. I'm going to start with the bronze shade here. I'm using my BK Beauty 107. And the Film Star Bronze and Glow product, I'm going to get that out real quick so we can really compare what the tone is here, because this seems actually a little warmer than what I have in the individual product. Now I will admit this is a pretty sneaky product. It looks rather light in the pan, but I feel like you get a little more of an effect on the skin. Just swatching these on my arm, this shows a lot more color and a lot more warmth right out of the pan. The highlight, however, seems pretty similar to what's in the original product, but I guess you can't always count on getting that exact same bronzer contour color in these instant look palettes. Sometimes it's a little different, even though it looks like maybe it's the same. So as you can see, I've given myself a little bit of a light contour with that. I really like it. For my skin tone, I feel like that's a very easy shade to work with, but it gives off even a little more color than the original Film Star Bronze and Glow. Now for the blush, let's take this lighter shade first and foremost. It picks up quite a bit on the brush when you tap in, and let's just see what that gives us with that alone. Not sure if it's translating to the camera, but I'm seeing a really light peachy look. Very fair skin would probably notice this, my kind of light skin tone. I can see it. Deeper skin tone, I'm not sure this would show that much. But interestingly, it can be built. I went back just for the same shade to try to go over things. And I can see, you know, a little more color as I add more product. But yeah, that's pretty soft. Now let's go to the pop shade. That's what I'm talking about. Love that. Really nice color down here. I mean, it seems like such a neutral pink. Maybe a little bit of peachy warmth mixed in, but I'm a fan of that blush. That really was nice. And both of them seem to be matte. Now we're gonna pop on a little bit of this highlight. The brush tends to wanna grab quite a bit when you put it in. Oh, super pretty. Love that. Brightening, kind of pearly, doesn't look like cheesy metallic. Got a little extra on my brush. I'll take it up here to the forehead. And let's do a little on the Cupid's bow here too. Guys, I'm really pleased with the way these face colors came together. I liked the amount of color that showed with the bronzer. I really enjoyed that both blushes were very visible and actually each one distinctly different from the next in this palette. And the highlight is very brightening. I feel like I always tend to like the highlights that are included in these, and this is no exception. All right, friends, when I was thinking about this video and calculating my 5 products, you know, that really hard math trying to determine 5, I did leave out the brow. I didn't even think about it. So I just threw in some Glossier Boy Brow. I guess it's 5 products in terms of what I'm actually really reviewing and focusing on for this video, but I snuck in a brow there on you. That's just the Glossier Boy Brow, just swipe through. And for an eye primer, I just patted on the deeper of the 2 concealer shades, really lightly all over the lid. I feel like I'm gonna be able to get away with this staying power wise because it's not an overly goopy concealer. And then we can go right back to this palette and use it for the eyeshadows. So I'm going to begin by going with this smoke shade right here. This is matte. The other 2 appear to have kind of a soft shimmer to them. And I'm going to take that mauve-y matte and begin working that into my crease. Now, as I sit here and shoot this, this is Bubba's actual birthday, Rhett's birthday. He's turning 1. So it was 1 year ago today. I was sitting in this spot getting ready to go in and have him. I was induced, so we went first thing in the morning to the hospital. But I remember after coming home from the hospital, and you know, you got those crazy days where you're just trying to survive, but then you start to feel like, okay, maybe I can feel a little bit more like myself again. Maybe I can do some makeup. I was always reaching for these multitasking palettes. I'm sure I did some videos kind of talking about quite a few different ones around that time. That was just my life. I found it easy to run up here, grab a palette that had many different steps, and then maybe like a foundation-y or tinted moisturizer type product and a mascara, and love that I felt like I could be put together and do it easily in any part of the house, you know, without having to tote around a lot of different things. Palettes such as this, or last year, you know, it was the one that I showed earlier, they really helped me out a lot. Okay, so I've got that shade into the crease, and I'm trying to just move it around quite a bit and get a nice big surface area of that shade. Really let it buff all the way, you know, not quite to the brow, but close. I think it's a pretty shade, and I feel like the first time I used this, I didn't really take advantage of it enough. But it really, like, that's the kind of color where when I glance at my eyes as I'm doing this look, it brings out the greenness in my eyes. My eyes are generally brown, but they can have a hint of like a goldeny green thing going on. So there's my nice diffused crease. I'm gonna go to the Eye Brighten color, and this has a little shimmer. And we'll just take that as our highlight. It really looks so close to the actual face highlight in this palette. Let's compare. No, actually it has quite a bit more warmth when you swatch it out compared to the face highlight. Now, what is this color like if we packed it on a bit more? Like just on the outer part of the eye, perhaps? Really is a beautiful shade. Are you one who gets these palettes year after year, or do you tend to feel like they're so similar you don't need to, you know, grab for something different? Again, this was last year's. I did like their deepest eyeshadow color in there, but I'm kind of appreciating how easy this one is to work with, and I definitely prefer the fact that both of the blushes really hold their own in this one. Okay, so you can also pat that shade on and get some nice depth with it. Then we're going to go to the shimmer color here, the one that looks like kind of, I don't know, a soft copper. Put that over most of the lid. Really pretty alongside the mauve. And then our lightest shade. Let's do some of that kind of just going inward around the inner corner. Let me look something up for a second. I've always been one who looks at the cost of a Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow quad. I see that it's $53 and I'm like, good God, you know, like there's so much you could get for that amount of money from other brands or whatever. But one of these instant look in a palettes, you know, these sell for $75, and that seems like quite a bit for a single, you know, makeup product, one thing that I'm holding in my hand here, right? But I do see a heck of a lot more value in one of these. You know, all the products are really nice, and instead of just 4 eyeshadows, you know, you're getting 3 shadows that can create a whole look, plus 4 different face colors. To me, it seems like a no-brainer that this is the better buy. But that being said, you know, while this is nice and handy and nice quality, it's not the only thing out there that could be a multitasker for you. I mean, we just talked about the Catrice California in a box the other day, and that doesn't really offer specific eyeshadow shades, but you could use it, kind of like eyeshadow. If you've got my Needs palette, that's a big multitasking thing as well. So if you do a little digging in the makeup landscape, this isn't the only thing that can work this way. But I gotta say, the quality is quite nice. The shadows are very easy to work with. I think they are very much on purpose trying to make this like a one-size-fits-all palette. They're trying to put in shades here that the masses would like. You're never gonna see like off-the-wall colors in these, I don't think, although that would be kind of fun if they one time put out something that really had some bright stuff happening. But it's supposed to be an everyday look kind of palette, and I do, you know, now that I really played with that smoke color more, I'm really liking the kind of vibe that that gives on the eyes. So all things considered here, I would say I like this a little bit better than last year's. Another thing about last year's, sorry, can't stop talking about this, but they gave you a shimmery kind of brown color, and I do kind of remember thinking like, why was that in there? It didn't really create a ton of contrast with the deepest shade, and here I feel like each eye color is specifically its own thing. So we're gonna move on and not do any eyeliner for this look because, like I said, I'm trying to keep it minimal products. That way we can really focus in on some certain things. So many times I look at my product list when I'm doing a get ready with me and I'm like, dang, this was a lot of stuff. And here, you know, some of these multitasking things, it's fun to really let them do their thing and not muddy up the look with a bunch of other things so you can really see what exactly they are doing. So the mascara I'm going to use today, this is actually my first time with this. This is the new Climax Extreme mascara from NARS. I thought the red tube Climax mascara was actually pretty good, but let's see how this one does. I've got my mirror down here. Wow. I'm surprised at how quickly it's building on the lashes. Holy cow. The brush is kind of big, like natural bristles, a little bit of taper toward the tip, but I mean, it's a pretty large brush. I felt like it grabbed to the lashes instantly. Just made them pop right away. That's great. Kind of reminding me of Superhero in that respect, right? It just very quickly built up. I was kind of tempted to comb through, but you may not be helping yourself that much by going through it repeatedly because it just does the job so fast. To me, it seems like a more dramatic lash than even the red one gave. I remember that one being nice, but just not quite as fast to build up. Okay, I've got curl here. See, look at that. Just, I mean, really nice definition too. A lot of you have probably watched me long enough to know that the times I like a mascara this well right out of the gate are few and far between. Like, this is the sort of result I might expect to get from something that I've had for about 3 weeks and it's had a little chance to dry out, so then it actually, you know, is able to build better on the lashes. This is doing surprisingly well. This is doing an amazing job. You guys know my lashes aren't that great, so got a little bit right here. That brush is kind of bunglesome. Yes, I said bunglesome. Let's do just a little bit on the lower lashes. Gosh, you gotta be careful, like, unless you want a big lash. I think I might be hearing more than one owl out there this morning. I'm gonna just take a little spoolie here to get the excess. I mean, it's for real. That builds so fast. Now, just out of curiosity, this mascara is not totally dry yet. It's getting there, but it's not super dried. I wonder what would happen if I added just a little bit more. How far can we push it? Dang. I mean, they look thicker. They don't look terribly spidery if I do it. Well, maybe a little chunky. Not necessary. Really? One coat? Wow. Okay. All right, the last thing I'm going to play with today is this product from Bite. They've come out with these balms, these agave plus lip tint tins, and I got the shade called Smashed. Looks like a reddish color. I was playing with this a little bit yesterday, and I was surprised at the sheerness. I just expected it to give off a little more color. I'm going to try to build it some. I mean, if you go in with barely anything on your finger, it's not going to look like much on the lips, but if you get a little more going, you'll see it. But it's just not going to show up like red. If you got one of the more subtle shades of this, I'm sure it would be even more sheer. Feels really nice. Really smooth, not sticky, gives the lips kind of a pillowy look. You know, sometimes I feel that way when a product, you know, it's got the moisturization, but it doesn't look overly like shiny. I mean, I've got quite a bit on my lips here to try to make some color show, and it doesn't look like off the charts shiny, but the lines of the lips look very much like filled in, evened out. You've got that little hint of color that really comes off like a soft pink, even though I chose the shade that was pretty much looking like red. I mean, all in all, it's a really soft, kind of delicate look, right? I mean, it's a very easy, everyday type of look. As far as the foundation goes, you know, I feel like it's a very similar coverage level to the traditional Estee Lauder Double Wear. If you're curious about this and you've already got some good, nice, long wear, full coverage foundations, I don't feel like I'm getting a really drastically different experience with this, except when I do apply it with a brush, it gets kind of a heavy look going on the skin throughout the day. I would say I like the new NARS better than this. If we're talking matte full coverage foundations, I think this actually does a little better coverage wise, and the staying power is just tremendous with that one. But I was really impressed by the concealer compact here. I think it's awesome to have the two tones because then you can really play with the level of brightness that you're coming away with. For this light compact and my skin tone, I just feel like it meshed so well. So I was able to actually conceal things and then take my brightness up a notch and set it with powder. I mean, that's 3 pretty important steps to me, but all contained in one compact that has a magnetic closure. Thank you very much. Now the Stoned Rose compact from Charlotte Tilbury. I mean, you know I appreciate the multitasking capabilities here, and I really like this color. If this had just been like a basic brown, I may not have loved this quite as much as I do, but I really like that mauve-y shade, and I see myself getting a good amount of use out of this one actually. All the face colors look beautiful on the skin. It really is a high quality product. If you were looking for a very special gift to give someone, you know, $75, but if you're looking for a very impressive gift, you know, it might be a good option. That being said, if you're trying to be a bit more budget conscious, you know, there are other multitasking things out there here that could give you even more bang for your buck, because I'm thinking of a pending review I have, which is this year's It Cosmetics, you know, all-in-one beauty book. That's around, what is it, 50 bucks? So about 25 bucks down from this, and you're getting even more things. Some might see it though as even a more complicated palette, and if you want just the easiest route, this is a little bit easier. You know, you're getting 3 shadows, boom, that's it. But anyway, I can't make the decisions for you. You got to decide, you know, what you think you're going to be most interested in, what you're really going to use, but I do give a thumbs up to this one because I really like the look. This product from Bite, gosh, I would say get it more for the feel, the moisturization. Don't rely on this to be a super like colorful lip product, because as you can see, it's very subtle, and I felt like I picked one of the brighter shades available. But boy, does that feel good, and I kind of like the soft lip. You know, I've been using so many richer liquid lipsticks these days, and I'm kind of thinking this is pretty and kind of delicate looking alongside the face I've got going on. And that mascara, what a surprise. What a surprise from the Climax Extreme. I feel like that built beautifully, really fast length. The question is it going to wear well throughout the whole day? I'll have to report back to you on that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.